The Indiana Hoosiers need to shock the nation in the battle for Atlantis.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen each and every day. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate GM. Ultimate College Football HC is a brand new mobile game that is completely free, has no ads, and 100% playable offline. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost for your program. Begin your coaching legacy today. Well, thank you so much for being here. Shout out to all of my everydayers. You are the reason that this show exists. You're the reason it's growing like crazy. And so thank you so much for being one of those and truly making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. Well, we now know what the bracket looks like for the battle for Atlantis coming up at the non-conference slate of college basketball season. And we know that the Indiana Hoosiers get Louisville first. But it's time for the Hoosiers to prove the doubters wrong, shut up the haters, and shock the world, shock the nation in the battle for Atlantis. I'm going to tell you how they can do that, why they need to do that, and then what if they do that? What does all of that look like for this upcoming season? And then at the end of the show, there are more changes coming to Memorial Stadium for Indiana football. They continue to make upgrades and make it better for you, the fan. We'll have that for you later on in the show. Indiana, it's announced that the Hoosiers will get the Louisville Cardinals to start the battle for Atlantis. This is taking place November 27th, November 28th, and November 29th. And this is a lot of fun. This is going to be a really, really fun tournament. I love all of these. I love Feast Week in college basketball. It's one of my favorite times of the year because you have Feast Week of college basketball, rivalry weekend for college football. It's just a really, really fun time. And so for the Hoosiers in the battle for Atlantis, one of the biggest non-conference tournaments. You've got the Maui, you've got the battle for Atlantis, and I know there's now the NIL tournament going on out in Vegas, but this is a really fun one, okay? And in game one, to kick off the entire tournament on November 27th at 12 o'clock noon Eastern time on ESPN, your Indiana Hoosiers are taking on the Louisville Cardinals. And if you remember from a year ago, the Louisville Cardinals are terrible. Louisville was a horrific basketball team last year, and they've been a pretty bad basketball program over the last handful of years, which is crazy to me that it's been this long for them. Like, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think they're going to be better this year. We'll see what happens, but we're going to open it up with Louisville. West Virginia will then play Gonzaga. Oklahoma will then play Providence, and Davidson will play Arizona. And the bracket is set up straight down the middle, and winners go to the right, losers go to the left. You can drop down to the bottom for third and fourth place. You've got fifth and sixth place, seventh and eighth. You are guaranteed in this tournament to play 3 games. You could go 0 for 3, but you're going to play 3 games in this tournament. So it is beneficial for everybody who is here to play and to show up and want to be a part of this thing. And so for Indiana, though, nobody's picking us to win the battle for Atlantis. Everybody's saying, oh, just go ahead and set the championship game now. It's going to be Arizona and Gonzaga. Can we fast forward to the Zags and the Cats of Gonzaga and Arizona? Can we just get on to the championship game already? That's what people are saying, Hoosier fans. That's what they're saying. Nobody expects Indiana to do anything, or Providence, or Oklahoma. No, they all believe it's Gonzaga and Arizona, which is why I say today to you, it's time to shock the nation. Indiana has a chance here in the battle for Atlantis to come in and really make a statement. And it's really the only time in the non-conference schedule that we have a chance to do that, because you and I have talked about this non-con schedule. Other than the battle for Atlantis, it's kind of weak. I'm just going to be real with you. It's kind of weak. And so I hope that we do get Gonzaga in game 2, because if we win against Louisville and they beat West Virginia, it would be us against Gonzaga. And what a great test that would be for us early on in the season. Could we beat them? I don't know. We'll find out. I think we're talented enough to do it. Absolutely. So give us Gonzaga. Okay, let us make a run. Give us Arizona, or let us play some of those teams on the other side too and just figure some things out. What I love about these tournaments is you see teams that you're not going to see the rest of the way. Maybe see them in the NCAA tournament, but it's highly doubtful. So you're going to play against teams that are so different in style and play and physique and coaching. Like, it's so different. It's like playing in the NCAA tournament, right? You're playing in a tournament setting against teams you don't know a whole lot about, and you're going to learn a whole lot about yourself. And we're going to talk about that more in the what if segment of what if the Hoosiers do win the battle for Atlantis. But my point to you today is this is the first real opportunity in 2024 and 2025 for the Hoosiers to come out and say, hey, remember us? We're still here. We're back, are the Indiana Hoosiers, because of what we've done through the high school rankings and, of course, through the transfer portal, plus what we brought back from a year ago. This is a chance for Mike Woodson to say, yeah, we're not going anywhere, and we're back and ready to fight. We can make a statement in the battle for Atlantis. What happens if you do beat Gonzaga game 2? Even if you don't win, but if you do beat Gonzaga, or as I said, we're going to get to this in a second, what if you do win the tournament? Well, there's a lot to get to on that. But what I want the Hoosiers to do is show up and beat somebody. Get a signature win, because the rest of the non-conference schedule, look, South Carolina just doesn't get my motor running. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And outside of that, you've got nobody. In terms of quality opponent, quad 1 victories, NCAA tournament resume building wins, like, you're just not going to have any of that. Teams that are going to move the needle a whole lot. And so you need to show up and be ready. If you're Indiana, show up, be ready to play, and have a chance to dominate and make a statement and shock the nation in the battle for Atlantis. If you do, you will gain so much respect in the outside world of college basketball, outside of Bloomington, outside of our state. People will go, oh, wow, look at Indiana. Look at them. That's a force to be reckoned with. Don't you want to have that chip on your shoulder? Don't you want to have that kind of a mantra when you show up places? I guarantee that would put the Big Ten on notice if you beat a Gonzaga or an Arizona, or go 2-1 with dominating victories against other programs. I think that would put them on notice big time. And that's what the Hoosiers need to do in the battle for Atlantis. And it all starts in game number 1 on November 27th against the Louisville Cardinals. Well, coming up in our next segment on Locked On Hoosiers, what if we do win the battle for Atlantis? What if we beat Gonzaga? What if we beat Arizona? What if we go winless? We'll have all that for you next on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Ibotta. Look, I know summertime's winding down, but it's still barbecue season, right? Stock up on all of your grilling favorites and earn cash back on every purchase when you use Ibotta. So you won't have to choose between burgers or hot dogs. You can get both. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much, but with Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or using gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. It's time that you join the over 50 million users who use Ibotta to earn cash back every time they shop. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners, you, $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONCollege when you register. Got to use the code LOCKEDONCollege, okay? So just go to the App Store or Google Play and download the free Ibotta app. That's IBOTTA, and start earning cash back using our code LOCKEDONCollege. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONCollege today. Welcome back to Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you so much for being here and truly making this your first listen, your first watch every single day. Shout out to all of my everydayers, whether you're on audio or you're on video. I see you, I hear you, and I really do appreciate you. So if you're looking for a way to support this show, this is a free show every day, Monday through Friday. It is free 99, baby, right there wherever you get your podcast. So if you're looking for a way to support the show and help us out a little bit, audio, you can follow us and turn on notifications so that way you're always alerted. You're never going to miss an episode, okay? Those of you on video, like this video, first of all, right, on YouTube, like this video, comment down below. Do you think the Hoosiers can win the battle for Atlantis? Is it a legitimate feat for you? Do you think it can happen? And if not, who trips us up in the battle for Atlantis? Okay, so comment that down below. I'll be looking for that. And then the best way to help us, it's free, takes 2 clicks, hit our show logo and subscribe to the channel. That's the easiest way to help us out. It's the free way to help us out, and we continue to grow here at Locked On Hoosiers. So thank you very, very much for that. Well, let's play the what if game. It's my favorite. Those of you know that, my everydayers. You know the what if is my favorite game of all time, and we've got a couple of them here today. We'll start with the best one. What if the Indiana Hoosiers win the battle for Atlantis? What if they go down in late November during Feast Week and they say, you know what? We're just going to show up and take some names and kick some you-know-what. What if we decide we're just going to roll through Louisville, upset Gonzaga, and we meet Arizona in the championship game because they have to go through Davidson and then either Providence or Oklahoma. So it's a pretty good guess, pretty good bet that Arizona's going to get there. So what happens? What if we do win the battle for Atlantis? Well, I think you definitely put the Big Ten and the country on notice. I think numerous people are going to say, damn, look at Indiana. They are back. That is a talented team. And the good thing is, this is a nationally televised event. This is ESPN. People don't have a choice but to watch this, right? And so you have an opportunity, which is what I was saying before. Like, you have an opportunity to make a statement and get yourself in the eyeballs in front of people's eyes. Like, show yourself in a good way. Don't show yourself in a bad way. Show yourself in a good way because college basketball is watching that week. That's a very important week. And man, if you win, if you win the battle for Atlantis, you're talking about an undefeated non-conference schedule, most likely, because outside of South Carolina, again, the Miamis of Ohio is just, I don't see that being an issue for us. And so you're talking about an undefeated non-conference schedule, a top 25, probably a top 20. Shoot, if you beat Gonzaga in Arizona, you're probably a top 15 team in the country. And you're taking that into Big Ten play, which we still don't know the schedule for. But if you want to check an episode about that, we did one yesterday. Go check it out here at Locked On Hoosiers. You're looking at a top 15 ranking, undefeated, heading into Big Ten play. What more could you ask for? In terms of what you see on paper, that's fantastic. Now, we don't know what this team looks like in that undefeated stretch, right? There will still probably be some issues and some things to clean up, but you won't see me complaining all that much. I may nitpick because that's what I do, and I may have a few things that I kind of notice that could be problems down the road, but you're not going to see me complaining too much on this podcast if Indiana is undefeated with a battle for Atlantis championship belt around their waist and they're heading into Big Ten play and everybody's healthy. If that's the case, awesome. That's a huge, huge advantage if the Hoosiers can do that. Okay, let's take a step down. What if the Hoosiers win game one, but they lose to Gonzaga? Or I guess, well, let me say this. What if they win game one, beat Gonzaga, but they lose to Arizona in the championship game? Okay, you went 2-1 in the battle for Atlantis, and you lost to a really good team, and you beat a really good team. Sounds good to me. That's probably your only non-conference loss, and that's still a quality loss, right? You've got to start thinking about this now. You got to go into your brain now and start knocking off the cobwebs and thinking about basketball terminology here. Remember, you got to start thinking KenPom. You have to start thinking quad wins, net rankings, tournament resumes. All of that stuff matters now. That's what the non-conference schedule is for. So yeah, if you get a win over Gonzaga, but your only loss is to Arizona, who cares? Who cares? Show up and play a good game, be competitive, and if they end up beating you at the end, then they beat you at the end. So I think that would be a very, very acceptable performance in the battle for Atlantis. Now, if you go in and beat Louisville, but you lose to Gonzaga and then beat some other, lower team, okay, it is what it is. At that point, we're looking to how do we bounce back after a loss, and does everybody stay healthy? That's priority number one. Whether how many games you lose or win, doesn't matter. Everybody's got to stay healthy. But if your only wins are over, a Louisville and, I don't know, a West Virginia or something like that, or a Providence, whatever the case may be, I get it. It just wouldn't be as sexy, wouldn't be as entertaining for us, wouldn't be as fun for us to build off of that moving forward. But that's Mike Woodson's job, is to coach this team through a tournament no matter what happens. Now the ultimate what if. What if we go 0-3? What if we go down here and we don't win a game? We lose to Louisville. Yikes. We lose to probably West Virginia. Yikes. And then we lose to whoever it would be, Davidson or whatever the case may be. Then we've got major issues. Then we have a serious problem. And if that ends up happening, it wouldn't be just one singular problem, right? It would be numerous things that went wrong with this team. A major injury happened, or this team just didn't gel together correctly. You had attitude problems, poor shooting, poor offense, terrible, lazy defense. Like, that would be horrific. And I don't think that's going to happen, but you've got to play all sides of the what-if game here, especially in a tournament setting. If you want my prediction, I did an episode a while back saying that we can absolutely win this tournament, and I still believe that to be the case. I'm not changing my thoughts on that we can win the battle for Atlantis, but I'm going to say this. I think we beat Louisville. I think we beat whoever it is in game 2, whether it's West Virginia or most likely Gonzaga. I think that's the statement win that we're looking for this non-conference schedule, and I think we probably come up short against an Arizona team. That's just my prediction. And again, I'm cool with that. I really am fine with that. But I want to know your thoughts. Is that okay with you? What do you think is an acceptable performance for the Hoosiers in the battle for Atlantis? And answer some of those what ifs. What if we win the tournament? What if we get one big win but can't get another? What if we kind of disappoint a little bit and get a couple of wins but against teams that don't do a whole lot? Or the worst one, what if we go winless in the battle for Atlantis? Drop your stuff down below in the comments on YouTube. I'm going to see some of your answers to all of those what if questions. Well, coming up on our final segment on today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers, we will go to football because more announcements have come. More additions and renovations and upgrades for you, the fan, are coming to Memorial Stadium this season. We'll have that for you in our final segment on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Ultimate College Football HC. Hey, Locked On Hoosiers fans, I want to take a moment to give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game that I think you are going to love as much as I do. It's called Ultimate College Football HC. Head coach, of course, but Ultimate College Football HC. All right, in this amazing game and simulation, you get to step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your college football program to glory. Can you imagine actually being the head coach of the Hoosiers? From recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps and handling school scholarships, you control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. Will you be able to handle the pressure? And here's what I really love about the game. I've downloaded it. I've played it. It is a lot of fun. It is fantastic. I'm kind of addicted, I'll be honest with you. But you are responsible for calling offensive plays during the games. Your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, but will shape the future and legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football HC is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. You can play on the go, as you want, and when you want to. And of course, we've got a special offer for you for Locked On Hoosiers fans. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB. All right, that's LOCKEDONCFB. all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk as it will get your team off to a strong start. Just download, go to download it, go to ultimate-cfb.com. That's ultimate-cfb.com, or just download the app in your app store. Ultimate College Football HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. Final segment on Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you so much again for being here. And look, I hope you're having as much fun listening and watching as I am hosting and just talking, because this is a lot of fun. And we've got just so much happening with football right around the corner, basketball a little bit down the road as well. It's just a wonderful time to be an Indiana Hoosier fan. And speaking of football, yes, week 0 is this week. How about we make some picks on the show tomorrow just for a little bit of fun? We'll do that maybe in the last segment on tomorrow's show. But for today, there's new updates on Memorial Stadium for Indiana football. More upgrades, more just better things happening for the fans at Memorial Stadium for Indiana football. Listen to some of these things that they've announced, right? We've already known and we've talked about how they're going to have the B-Town Boulevard, right? They're going to have a massive tailgating scene outside of Memorial Stadium for the fans to show up with food and music and, I mean, just merchandise and all sorts of stuff that's going to be happening at B-Town Boulevard. But Indiana announced that they have a new and enhanced concessions experience, okay? They are, since they signed with a hospitality group back in the spring. It's called Levy Food Group. I don't know who they are, but they're a major hospitality group, okay? They are bringing multiple new restaurants to Memorial Stadium in places that if you're in Bloomington or from Bloomington or went to Indiana, you know these places, okay? How about Buffalo's? Yep, that's going to be there. Yogi's, Social Cantina, and Aver's Pizza. All of those are going to be at Memorial Stadium. You can eat those while watching Indiana football. Does it really get better than Buffalo's in Indiana football? I don't think so, but that's up for you to decide, right? You're still going to have your hot dogs and nachos and pretzels and stuff like that as far as I'm concerned, but they've made it faster, right? With the new grab-and-go systems that every stadium and arena in the country have gone to. But they're going to have local favorite restaurants that you can eat and have while you're at the game. That's just it's just an extra step that not every place is going to take, that not every program, not every school is going to take that into consideration. So keep that in mind. The fact that Indiana is going out of their way to make your experience even better. If you're an Indiana student and you haven't seen this yet, this is exciting. This has desperately been needed, but they've finally done it. They have a student section that is 100% dedicated to you, the students. You'll be in the north end zone. You're going to be all down there with each other, all sitting together rather than sprinkled everywhere. You have a dedicated area at the end zone where you can show up, still general admission, right? You show up, you buy your tickets, and you run in there and just try to get in as much as you can, quick as you can, I guess. But excited for that. It'll be between sections 13 and 24 as I read it here. So that's another big addition. The students can be together. They'll be on one end of the stadium. That way, when a team's down there, they can be as loud and proud as they want to be. We talked about Heps Rock. That got moved a little bit. The new run out at the stadium, at the tunnel as well. You've got just so many different upgrades and additions and things happening. I wanted to talk about the student section and the food in particular. I feel like those are really impactful for fans that are going to be attending the games. And I've continued to beat this drum, and I will not stop. I will not quit giving praise to Indiana athletics and Indiana football and head coach Curt Cignetti, because these things don't happen without all of them being bought in and ready to go. And most importantly, you, Indiana fans, you have helped make this possible. And all it took, I feel like, was a head coach in Curt Cignetti to step in and say, we got to make some changes. This ain't good enough for a Power 4 football program, and I'm glad that they're doing it. So where's the first place you're eating in Memorial Stadium? I got to know. I got to know what you're getting at one of those premier legendary places of Bloomington, Indiana. What are you eating first at Memorial Stadium? You may as well drop it in the YouTube comments and let me know, all right? So excited for that and excited for the season to start next week for Indiana football. Isn't that crazy? Unbelievable. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you again so much for being here. Shout out to all my everydayers. Hey, if you're looking for your next listen, your second watch every day, go check out Locked On College Football. All right, my boy Spencer doing a phenomenal job over there, so go check that out. Also, in case you missed it here on Locked On Hoosiers, we had a full Big Ten preview with Locked On Big Ten for every single college or in the Big Ten. So go check that out as well. It's on our Locked On Hoosiers YouTube channel. We'll be back tomorrow, Hoosier fans. We will wrap up the week. We'll do some week 0 picks as well, and then get into game week next week for Indiana football. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.